Okay, moving on from Obi-Wan Kenobi talk and our general news talk, and moving on to our main event for today. Something I've been wanting to talk to for a bit here because it's kind of bothered me.
Yeah.
This notion that perhaps Phase 4 of the MCU isn't all that in a bag of chips for a lot of people. For some, it's been quite the disappointment. Before I ask you your opinion, which I already kind of know.
Okay.
Let me get a little backstory on how this all sort of came up in the MCU zeitgeist for us.
Why don't you also cover what's been in Phase 4 so far?
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's get into it a little bit. So Phase 4. There's been inklings going around, particularly after Multiverse of Madness and now with Ms. Marvel, that some people are really not too happy with how it's been going on, at least in comparison to the first three phases, Phase 1, 2, and 3, that ended with Endgame a couple of years ago now. And to me, I've been in quite shock because my personal opinion, which I'll get into more later, is that has it been perfect? Of course not. Is it the best phase that's happened? No, definitely not. But I still think, considering, again, the MCU in and of itself and how unique of a franchise it is in all of Hollywood, I'm willing to give it its roses still, because I think they're doing a pretty good job considering they're kind of the only players in their own game. Right. So overall, I think they're doing a pretty good job. But anyways, that's what's sort of the big question that's gonna we're gonna talk about in this. But just to give a quick recap of sort of the MCU in general. Anybody who knows anything knows that the MCU is a thing now. It is headed by Kevin Feige. If you don't know what the MCU stands for, it's the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is the movie equivalent to the popular Marvel comics series that's been going on for years. I don't read the comics. Alex doesn't either. So we're not comic book.
I used to read the comics.
Oh, did you? Okay.
A while ago, but sorry, I misspoke. The new comics where
not really.
No, not really. But we'll get into that.
Okay, well, me either. So we're not that. That being said, this is where our wheelhouse is in the movies, which started in 2008 with Phase 1 and Iron Man, and it ended in, of course, the Avengers. Then Phase 2 came along, which ended in Age of Ultron, the next Avengers movie, and then Phase 3, which ended, of course, with the culmination of two of the probably the greatest events in Hollywood cinema, Infinity War and Endgame. And some fun facts, actually, with Thor Love and Thunder in Phase 4, which is coming out very, very soon. It's the 29th film in the MCU, which is bonkers to think about, that we're almost at 30 films. 30 films.
We'll be at 30 at the end of the year.
Yeah, at the end of the year, we'll have 30 MCU films. And just to put that into perspective, how crazy that is. It is by far, in terms of an English language film franchise, the longest, has the most films in a single franchise of anything. That it's already surpassed, which was the leading franchise before this, James Bond, with 27 films, with the last one, No Time to Die, 27, and that's been going on since when was Dr. No? Like late 50s, 60s, early 60s.
Yeah.
So since then. And that was the longest. That was the biggest franchise,
52.
Most robust franchise since then. 52. Wow! Oh wow! 52.
62.
So early.
62.
Oh, 62. I was like, what? Okay, early 60s. Yeah. And only in 20. When did No Time to Die come out? 2021, last year. Did they reach 27? So they've already surpassed that. I have a fun fact. Here's a fun fact for you though, if you didn't know. What do you know? What the franchise with the most films ever is? And it is. I'll give you a hint. It is a non-English franchise.
Yeah. With the most films.
With the most films, and of all time.
My guess it's got to be something Japanese. Is my guess.
You're also correct. Can you get it?
I don't know. No,
You're almost there, bro.
In anime or Godzilla or
Godzilla, baby. You got
it's Godzilla. Oh, okay.
It's Godzilla. It's
wow.
Godzilla.
I can't believe I got it.
It has the most. No, you got it. Yeah, you had it right with the. I mean, when you said Japanese, like, oh, you're gonna get this. Yeah, it's the Godzilla franchise with 36 films. Most of them though were produced in obviously Japan, with 4 of them being produced here. So it's the Monarch. Whatever the hell that what they're doing with that, but they have a total of yeah, who knows?
Okay,
so it's 36 films, non-English, which is pretty crazy. But as you know, the MCU is not stopping. We're gonna get past 30. They're gonna get past 36 pretty soon. Be the biggest franchise probably of all time with the most films. Anyway, so that's the MCU from the beginning. A little bit of a crash course. But yeah, we're at phase 4 now. And I also want to say one other thing, which is kind of crazy, if you think about this.
Okay,
we have 11 films in Phase 4. Did you know that? 11.
I felt like Phase 4 was going to be the biggest one yet because we're also counting the TV shows. But how is there 11?
I forgot about the freaking TV shows. Phase 4 does include the TV shows. Thank you. Sorry. No, we got to go over that really quick. Disney Plus shows. Also part of Phase 4. It's the first time that the MCU introduced freaking TV. Yeah. And how many of it? I think that's kind of crazy too. Actually, with the Hulk show coming out, She-Hulk coming out in a couple of weeks.
August.
Miss Marvel just dropped. They already have 8 Disney Plus shows. It's been 2 years. We already have 8 goddamn shows. So if you add 8 to the aforementioned 29, we're actually cleared of around 37 properties now for the MCU. So isn't that crazy?
This is insane. It's
wildfire. It's fucking wildfire.
It's only been 10 years. Well, it's been a little over 10 years.
A little over 10 years, but still, that's crazy. Again, unprecedented. No other franchise is doing what the MCU is doing. But yeah, Phase 4 has 11 movies.
Can
Phase
we list
1, let's list them. We'll start off with Black Widow.
Okay.
Up in last year, starting in July. Then we had Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings.
Right.
Eternals. Spider-Man No Way Home. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Did you forget it?
I forgot about No Way Home. I did.
Yeah. We just passed Multiverse of Madness. We are coming up to Thor and Love and Thunder in a week or so. Then we got Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, Guardians 3, Volume 3, The Marvels, and then Fantastic Four. Blade is surprisingly not slated under Phase 4 if you look it up. I don't know why. It should though, because it's not coming out before Fantastic Four.
I thought it was coming out before Fantastic Four.
There is no, as of right now, I do not see it. You correct me if I'm wrong. I do not see it.
No, you're right. I don't see it.
Yeah, weird, isn't it? They are slated to begin filming though this year. So, and Fantastic Four, as far as I'm concerned, we don't know where that is in development. Besides that, it's an early development.
No.
So
interesting.
Whatever. I don't know. Maybe this is based off. This is off IMDb. This is off a wiki. Maybe this is based off of what Feige has been saying recently. Anyways,
maybe. Okay.
But those are the films under Phase 4, which is 11, which matches Phase 3, which, if you forget, was the biggest, obviously, the phase in the Trinity or Infinity Saga. And can you believe this? That in Phase 1, there were only 6 films in Phase 1. Isn't that crazy? 6? Yeah, 1, 2, 3. Well, remember Incredible Hulk.
Oh, right.
And Iron Man 2. Those were technically Phase 1. And then Enter the Avengers.
Wow. I thought they were
right?
5. Yeah.
Isn't that crazy? And then Phase 2 only had about 6. Iron Man 3, Thor, The Dark World, Captain America, The Winter Soldier, Guardians 1, Age of Ultron, and Ant-Man. So it went from 6 to 11. So they doubled it in Phase 3, and now in Phase 4, they're seemingly going with the same rhythm of 11 films.
That's so many. That's so many properties.
Insane. Just to think about how fast these things have sort of snowballed into production. And then again, Phase 4 technically has 19 properties though. So
yeah,
and the TV shows are coming in just like
right, and we don't even know if that is 19 because there will be more shows.
There will definitely be more shows
come out before all those movies are out. So
it's nuts. So we are. This is where we are with the MCU right now. So this brings this all to the main question of the day, which is, why is it that Phase 4 seems to not really be hitting for a lot of people? A lot of people calling it a disappointment. So I want to start off with you, Alex. Do you agree with this sentiment that it is a disappointment? And how do you feel about Phase 4 in general so far?
Phase 4, I'm pretty lukewarm on so far. I do think it's been a little bit of a disappointment.
Okay.
It's been a little bit of a disappointment with it. I mean, Black Widow was a disappointment. Shang-Chi, even though it was fun, it was a kind of copy and paste origin story. I can see how people were bummed with Eternals. I disagree, but I enjoyed it. But yeah, I can see how people were incredibly disappointed with Eternals. I can see how people were disappointed with Multiverse of Madness. That's a lot of disappointments in a row there that I think a lot of people aren't used to with Marvel.
So you are seeing it from the general audience perspective.
Yeah, the general audience.
You're not surprised by that because of the general response. Okay.
At this point, you've reached a hyper-connected universe. To not have like the Guardians being in Thor make a lot of sense. They make a lot of sense. Doctor Strange being in No Way Home and the two other Spider-Men make a lot of sense. So having just a solo story out on your own doesn't make as much sense anymore. And even though we got great characters, like we got Yelena and we hope to see the what's his name? The Red Guardian again. David Harbour, right? You hope to see those characters again. And obviously you're going to see Yelena again. We've already seen her again. And even though we got great characters in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, like I shouldn't be more excited to see US Agent than I am the next Captain America film. But I'm more excited to see Wyatt Russell than I am the next Captain America film. I'm more excited to see Bucky. I'm more excited to see Baron Zemo. Like Captain America shouldn't be that far down on the totem pole. But he is, because he's always going to be compared to Chris Evans, which I wouldn't want. So yeah, I think we've gotten a lot of like great little characters, but in terms of like overall story arcs, it's been a little disappointing. Like Doctor Strange, I've seen it now twice, and I just feel like it's totally wastes the best thing for it in Doctor Strange. It just wastes him. And he goes like, how does a guy who is as smart as he is and knows all this stuff in Infinity War go and trust Wanda and not know that she's clearly messing with it? Like he should know. He shouldn't be tricked that easy.
Right.
So yeah, there's been more disappointments than I would like to admit. And I'm a massive Marvel fan. Right. And there's been more of like, hey, that was just okay. Right, not like, oh, that was the most amazing thing. Like, look, No Way Home might still be, well, now it's the second greatest theater experience I've ever had behind Top Gun Maverick. But it'll be up there, right? Because it'll always have that moment. It'll always have that catching the fucking brick. It'll always have the 3 Spider-Men coming out, which is still to this day. I've rewatched No Way Home so many times.
Oh yeah,
I love that movie, and I will stand by it being one of the most epic things to ever be put on screen. But other than that, what else have we gotten? Like, I think Loki would be the best thing of the Phase 4 so far. Right. Loki by far would be best thing, and then No Way Home in terms of a story perspective, and then it's a pretty far drop off for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
No. I think that's I would agree. I think obviously most of the time we line up on most of our feelings towards the MCU, and everything that comes with it. And I don't disagree with you. Like if we just really quickly run down, like Black Widow, definitely disappointing. Right. Not trash, but disappointing. Right. Like it feels inconsequential. We really didn't need it.
Exactly.
To start off Phase 4. Then we had Shang-Chi. I really, really love Shang-Chi. I've watched it multiple times. As we said in our review, I thought it gave me like sort of Iron Man feels because it was so not really connected to anything and we could just enjoy. a singular character again and his origins and learning about his the other characters in there too. I still to this day love it. I really love it. It was my first like big love of Phase 4, which I thought that I think they nailed it in that sense of like introducing a new character.
Right.
So I loved it. Eternals, feel the same way about you. I've said this when I watched it. I think it's definitely upper tier Marvel, while of course the critics did not
agree.
Really didn't agree. Right. It is the only rotten MCU film to ever on the tomato meter scale to ever exist. If you can believe that. Yeah. I surely couldn't. Yeah. But I thought they did a great job with Eternals. I love the characters. I love that movie. I thought it was very mature. And I thought they did it, considering the 11 people that are on that team. I thought Chloe Zhao did an amazing job with that movie. I've also seen it multiple times now. So that's already high on my list as well. And then of course Spider-Man No Way Home.
Right.
I mean, we only saw it in what? How many times have you seen it now? 30 times. Like I'd say probably the same as me.
Theaters alone, I saw it 5 times, four or 5 times. So like, I mean,
I never yelled and cried and screamed in the theater more than that, and I will always love No Way Home for that, for giving us Tobey Maguire back and Andrew Garfield. Yeah. So love that. So see, already there, that's 3 movies that I hold in pretty high regard in all of the MCU. But then of course you have Multiverse of Madness, which huge disappointment for both of us.
Yeah,
I would agree with that for sure. Again, not a trash film, right?
No,
by any means, but just did not live up to what I think we were hoping that was going to be.
Yeah, it got sidelined for Wanda.
It got sidelined for Wanda, and like they really could have wrote something better for the main character there. And Wanda definitely kind of overshadowed that. And even then, again, the Wanda story was a little wonky too. So
right, exactly.
But we love you, Sam Raimi. We still love you. And then the Disney Plus shows. As you know, I've had a bit of a pretty wonky time here. You've liked the likes of What If. I really didn't like What If at all.
Right, I forgot how much you didn't like What If.
WandaVision, Captain America, what is it? Fucking Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I thought they ended up really faltering at the end, but overall I still thought they were pretty good, and I really liked Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I didn't like Hawkeye. You loved Hawkeye.
I did. I liked Hawkeye quite a bit.
So What If and Hawkeye for
Marvel? Yeah.
Sure. I was disappointed with it. That's 2 already for me. And then I loved Moon Knight. I think we could both say we love Moon Knight.
I forgot about
and
Moon
Loki.
Knight. Jesus.
Loki and Moon Knight. Huge wins, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously Miss Marvel, I think, might just be one of the worst things Marvel has ever produced. I'm sorry.
Hey, it's still you have your opinions, but the critics, it is again the second highest rated MCU property.
It's also not done. So it's also not done.
Only 3 episodes in. Supposedly the 3rd episode's a little bit better.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it its due. But so in that whole list of like in terms of disappointments, I agree. I can see it, right? I can see that this definitely has the largest batch of disappointments out of all the phases. For me, it was a couple, like Black Widow, Multiverse,
right?
And then like 3 of the shows. So that's like 5 misses, in my opinion. Out of though a potential, what was it? 18 IPs this year or for this phase.
Right.
We still have more to go, but even as I'm talking about it, I guess I can see it from a general perspective that there were some misses here. That being said, again, for me, it's like, but look what they're trying to do, right? Like, it's not like Kevin Feige's taking this lightly. He's doing his best. Even in this phase, he's trying to do something unprecedented. Again, particularly with the addition of so many shows along to accompany these amazing films. So I guess overall, I'm just kind of giving them a bit of a bone because it's like it's not like it's trash. It's not the DCEU. And another fun fact about the DCEU, they've only done 11 movies, 12th being Black Adam, which is coming out pretty soon. So like fair comparison, but they've had absolute disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. So it's one of those things where I feel like, okay, I get it, I understand, but anyways, I still throw it about. Again, when you give me movies that I've said are like top tier Marvel, that I consider great, I definitely can't say I'm disappointed, but there are disappointing parts to it.
Right.
So I'm gonna get this one.
I want to.
You're going to say something.
I want to piggyback off that because you said that overall, we know what they're trying to do. Which yes, hyper Marvel fans like you and I know what they're trying to do, and this will all be connected, right? But at this moment in time, Kevin Feige or whoever is with Kevin Feige in the room, someone needs to say, we have to start connecting the dots.
Right.
We are spread really thin here, and you've released a lot of properties, more than ever before. Again, we've said so far already in Phase 4, Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, No Way Home, Multiverse Madness, and in a couple weeks, Thor: Love and Thunder. That's 6 movies already, plus plus WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki, Hawkeye. I'll throw out What If for now.
Thank you.
Miss Marvel and Moon Knight. So you're at 12 properties being released already, none of which have connected at all.
Correct.
At all.
So are you saying that this is definitely one of the main causes, perhaps, of the disappointment?
I think so. You've
I would actually agree with you.
You've spread it so thin right now that like people are starting to wonder, hey, but what about this? But what about that? Like this, why aren't these connecting yet? And
yes,
Feige did say earlier this week, he's like, hey, we're going to start answering these questions and we're going to start to get to the point where things are connected. And I think you got to get there sooner rather than later.
You hit it, my friend. Like, because what do I think the main cause is? I think it's exactly that. I think despite some of the disappointments in the individual stories, overall, I think what we're missing is that sort of very straightforward goal of what basically garnered the first 3 phases, which was bring the Avengers together. That's it, right? Like that's all we cared for, and that's what all these movies were obviously leading up to. They're individual movies like Black Panther, Ant-Man, Doctor Strange, when we were sort of like needing to really get to the true Infinity War where we had everyone there. They were just throwing individual movies left and right, but we understood why, and we understood where it was building towards.
Right. There was a threat that was introduced.
There was a thread, and it was simple. Remember, it was simple. I think the big issue with Phase 4 is that it's getting so complex with so many characters and there isn't an exact thread. We thought that in Multiverse of Madness, we're going to start getting answers. We were going to start pulling on these threads so that they kind of converge a lot closer to each other. Right. And it wasn't that. And it's so far not really happening. So everyone's just kind of wondering, where is this really going? And then they teased F4 and they teased the X-Men, but still didn't give us any like concrete foundations for what we know is the multiverse of this, either Phase 4 and 5 and 6, maybe possibly, who knows? But again, it's just so unclear. And I think that is really, I think you're right. It's the biggest issue with Phase 4. And so they need to start bringing these things together somehow, because again, when Ant-Man comes out, when Guardians comes out, when Doctor Strange comes out, we don't need explanation, right? There's the reasons in and of itself. We know why we're seeing this, because we're going to see them again all together. Right. Exactly. But this, it's like, I don't know what we're doing. I'm not really sure. It's cool, but you're not giving us that sort of foundation.
And we've gotten hints at it, right? Just tiny
hints,
specks. And it's like when they Eternals deserves a rewatch, but on top of the rewatch, it deserves a rewatch because of the post-credit scenes. You start to connect the issues. Like you get Blade and you get Black Knight. And you go, oh, wait a minute. It looks like someone's teaming up with somebody here. And then in the first post-credit scene, you see Harry Styles as Eros, Thanos' brother, saying, hey, we got to go. I know what to do here. And then in Shang-Chi, you get a little bit of it as well. You get the tease at the first post-credit scene when you see Wong and Captain Marvel and I believe Bruce Banner back in normal form, and there's an energy spike, which I do feel might be connected to Shang-Chi somehow, some way, because there was the 10 rings, and then Miss Marvel, she, it's weird. She gets her powers from a bangle. That's a ring. So is it connected to Shang-Chi that way? Or,
I didn't even think about that. You're right.
Yeah. So,
maybe they come from you're right. Maybe come from a similar.
Maybe she comes from that dimension, and that's why they changed her powers, so they can connect.
Show still sucks, but okay.
Yeah, show's still not great. It's not for grown ass men like us. Okay, it's for little girls.
That was rude. I'm
Whatever.
Sorry.
I don't care. I'm not going to finish the show.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, there's been little things like that, right? That kind of hint at it. Yeah. But overall, you have to start connecting dots now, because it's getting to the point where people are asking questions, and when you leave a movie, the question shouldn't be, oh, but where's that connect to this? It shouldn't.
It's the first time. It's the first time in the MCU where we feel a little. We feel a little left out into the ether, right? Where we really don't know what's happening, and that's what's been so good. That's what Kevin's been so good at. Right. Kevin, because
remember, you get Thanos is teased at the end of the very first Avengers.
Yeah,
and then it's Thanos. It's gonna be the Infinity Saga. Right. Great, and Phase 2, I think people can look back on Phase 2 and be like, oh, that was better than what I thought. But right now, it feels like Phase 2 is currently where we're at again, where there's a lot of stuff happening, but not so much connected. And we don't know, there needs to be a threat. Is it going to be this incursion thing? Is it going to be Galactus? Is it going to be Doctor Doom? Is it going to be something from the quantum realm?
Right.
Where's the threat coming from?
Right.
And
right.
I do think that Ant-Man 3 will. I think he's teasing this because I think Ant-Man 3 is going to kind of tease Kang the proper way. And that's saying, here's the threat. It's not going to be an incursion. It's going to be this. Right. I think that to me has been the biggest disappointment. Just how spread thin we are.
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously, I think it is the biggest issue. They need to really start giving us something that we can stand on. Because again, and there's so much IP now, and there's just so many characters. And again, unlike in Phase 1 through 3, they were all coalescing pretty nicely. But here, I feel like we're just being thrown so many pieces that is not clear where it's going. So I think you're right. I think that is I do agree that that's probably the biggest issue. And again, I still can't say that I'm disappointed, but for sure it's not coming together like it did Phase 1 and Phase 3. I'm hoping, I think it's because I have such faith in Kevin Feige that he's gonna for sure pull this together somehow.
Which you should, right? Yeah.
Which you should. Right. And so I think it will. Hopefully it is in Quantumania because that's where Kang is or whatever. But yeah, we've had these missteps now where we're like, oh, that's not what we thought it was gonna be, and we really wish it was. So I hope so. I wanted to bring up another thing that I want to ask you if you thought was could be another cause. Could be. I think we've established that this is probably the biggest problem, if anything.
Yeah.
But I was wondering if you thought, we've lost our stars of the band last year, in the last phase, which was Iron Man and Captain America, two of the greatest characters to probably exist not only in the superhero genre but in all of. They're iconic now. They're just all of the film. Do you think them missing from Phase 4 and has been sort of a big issue too, where we don't have these sort of rock stars that we've put up on a pedestal anymore, and we're kind of left with some people from before, but also these new ones who obviously just cannot live up to that. Right. Do you feel like that's part of it?
I do. I absolutely think that is part of it. Listen, recasting a Tony Stark or having someone replace Tony Stark is going to be damn near impossible. That's why people were so happy with the first Doctor Strange and how Doctor Strange interacted with Tony Stark in the in Infinity War. And that's why I was so disappointed in Multiverse of Madness, because of how his character just kind of got pushed to the back and was like, oh, here's this guy that they spent a lot of time, making into this really cool, cocky, but still learned his lesson and learned enough to be the Sorcerer Supreme. And now he's kind of useless, which he's not useless. Obviously, he saves the day in a very cool way. But at the beginning of that film, we retreaded the fact that does he want to be Doctor Strange? Like at this point, the dude sacrificed the whole world because he knew he was going to be able to save the world in 5 years. Like, yeah, he wants to be Doctor Strange. We don't need to relive that. That's lazy writing. We don't need to relive that so he can have a connection with America Chavez. We don't need to relive that so he can be pushed to the back to have Wanda go off the rails in like the most insane way, which you weren't fully expecting. So yes, missing Chris Evans, missing Robert Downey Jr., it's going to be very hard. And, before Doctor Strange 2 came out, I would have said, you need to linchpin Benedict and Chris Hemsworth and the Guardians. You need to get every little bit you can out of them because they can help carry it. And then new characters, I would say you need to linchpin Yelena. You need to really, really, really like find another likable female lead besides Yelena. I mean, Kate Bishop, I thought Kate Bishop, she wasn't as annoying to me, so I was fine with her. Sylvie from Loki, I thought she was pretty good character.
I love Sylvie. Sylvie.
But I don't think Sylvie's going to be the big hero that everybody wants her to be.
No.
So yeah. Agent 13, she was a great character, but now we know she's bad. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. Hey,
I forgot about her.
Maybe she's the Valentina. Maybe she's the next what's his name? Nick Fury. And maybe she can create a new Avengers. But yeah, I think that
Thunderbolts.
Yeah, Thunderbolts. Maybe they are missing these two characters, and you have to treat the characters you have a little bit better. Someone's got to step up. Like, as a fan, are you really going to tell me you're going to buy Captain Marvel as the leader of the Avengers? Like, again,
God, I hope not.
I would love it. I would love it if it was Chadwick Boseman, but unfortunately he's not here. And I think that did mess with Marvel a little bit,
Yeah.
I would love it if it was Chadwick Boseman and Benedict Cumberbatch. So they have to start to reassemble this team, but they also need to treat the main characters they have a lot better.
I agree. And see, this is where I feel like I have a sort of double-edged a point of view on that, where it's like I don't disagree that we are obviously missing the likes of Iron Man and Captain America, Tony and Steve. But I think the bigger issue isn't so much that they're gone. It's what you said. It's that they're not replacing them though with the people that again, with Doctor Strange or with Chadwick. They're not doing a good job at filling in those spots. And you really could see, I think you could see Benedict Cumberbatch totally taking on that mantle, or was Chadwick now, or freaking A, even Thor. But for whatever reason, Marvel in the movies that we're watching, they're kind of holding back, and I don't understand. I don't understand why. I don't understand why they're holding back on these people from being the sort of new faces of this new phase. I think it's really what is super, super missing. It's one of the things that I thought Kevin and the team would understand that they needed to sort of do. And maybe they still have plans to do that. But I think we're starting to, because there's so many IPs now, there's so many characters, that those two holes are just being more, they're much more prevalent now because there's so many things around them.
Right.
Those holes are so much bigger now, and I don't know if I don't know if they saw that coming. Right. With their plan, and so I think it's dire now that they really need to start feeling. We need those heroes that we like latch onto. We need the ones that are the shining beacon, because a lot of them are,
right now, I mean, before Multiverse Madness, I would have said, okay, it's definitely going to be Strange and fill in the blank that assemble the new Avengers. But now it's not even that so much. I still think they'll use Doctor Strange because Kevin Feige has said Benedict Cumberbatch is probably one of the most important actors and characters going forward in the MCU. But you need that other one, right?
Yeah,
you need that other somebody else.
Well, one of the greatest dichotomies in the first, besides the whole Avengers coming together, was the fact that there was such a great rift between Tony and Chris. Like, to know that the two biggest Avengers were also not on the same page was such a great dynamic to have between everything happening, because you never knew how this would turn out between them. And you're really missing that here in Phase 4. I still think that they need to really start. I think we just maybe need another Avengers film at this point.
Yeah, I think I was about to say it. Like I was going to say, you need to have
Avengers 5.2 or 4.5 or something.
Yeah, you need to have Avengers 4 come out here, or something where you could assemble an Avengers team. Multiverse of Madness would have been the perfect one to do it. Like, I'm going to travel across the multiverse and I'm going to assemble a team to fight Wanda. That is how we're going to do it. But
you're right. You're right.
Yeah. And look, the possibilities are endless. Toby has kind of said, I'm interested in playing more. Maybe they go get a 40-year-old Spider-Man to help lead the Avengers. I mean, that's a pipe dream of mine.
You've been on this Toby coming back for so long.
He's coming back. I guarantee it.
I don't know, man. I really don't know.
I'm getting a little.
I'm like, yeah. I mean, I want it. I just don't. I don't know. The more we go down it, I'm like, I don't know how they write that in. Like, I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, you had the perfect way to write it in, but I mean, I don't know. Anyway, like,
I think we'll see it again.
Another thing that I think is a little bit worrisome from Phase 4 is they're leaning heavily into the all different Avengers that relaunched back in like 2006 or something like that. And really the most popular character that came out of that was Kamala Khan, which they went and they changed her powers. Now, I don't have any problems with Aman Vellani, her performance as Miss Marvel. I think she's fine. Honestly, I just think the writing's bad.
I agree with that.
Yeah, but like, so maybe in a movie she's much better. She's much better, but the writing's better, and we get to see more of her personality come out. But like, there are a lot of characters that are not well received by fans. So the question has to be asked: are you just going to follow the comic book storyline? Are you going to rewrite to get the best out of these characters? Like, Riri Williams isn't a super loved version. She's Ironheart. And they were going to kill off Tony Stark, and she was going to be the new Iron Man. And they did that, and now Tony Stark is back in the fold because it's a comic and he can come back to life. But she didn't have the success that, they thought she was going to have.
I guess not.
You're right. So like, it is a little worrisome that they're pulling from all these comics that you're like, oh, well, we're just going to, and not change anything. We're just going to have them be the same characters. Like, eventually you're going to run out of source material, or the source material is going to get bad. So you have to adjust. So, I think that's also a bit of a problem. The characters have been weak. Let's be honest.
I agree with you, and I actually am really surprised at the rate that they're coming out with at us. Again, I think they could really just kind of slow it down a little bit, and again, because there's just so many characters, and one of the great parts about the original phase was that of course there were a lot of characters, but a lot of them we already kind of knew. I think another big issue, uphill battle for Phase 4 and beyond is the fact that the IP is getting more and more niche. I mean, they had a home run with Guardians, right? But that was a lightning in a bottle, and that was not expected whatsoever. But now you have all these characters that like people really don't know. They really don't know who they are at all. Right. And I feel like they're not doing a good job at fleshing them out like they did. I mean, to be honest, here's the thing. a lot of people still, the world still as a whole still didn't know who Tony Stark or even Steve was. Like there was work to be done. Then nobody really knew who they were. They still need to get us to be on board, and I think they did a great job with that with their first couple of films, obviously.
Right.
But I don't know if they're doing the same here with these characters that they're trying to get us to latch onto. And I wonder what that is. I wonder, is the source material just not as good as those characters in the comics? Maybe so. Yeah. I never read them. I don't know. I'm not saying that is or not. But if you think so, that's cool. But so then what's going on? Why is it that we're not attaching to these people as well? Again, if you can make me love a team of airplane pilots that I only met this year,
2 hours
Tom
ago.
Cruise, you can totally do that with any character. Right. That's just a hallmark of good writing. And so far, man. Yeah. See, I knew this was going to be a point of catharsis for me doing this episode, because I was like, fuck, I'm probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah. Again, you go back.
I get it.
And just
I'm understanding the disappointment. I'm understanding it now.
Of the new characters we've gotten, who's the most memorable? Like who?
That's a great question. Well, do you have one? Do you have one?
Yelena, probably.
Who's the most memorable?
Like who's one that I could be like,
who's like sticking out?
I will sit and watch this forever. Like I feel like Shang-Chi is cool, but like I feel like I'll get annoyed if they keep his character the same.
I think I agree with you. I think Yelena is the best character, because like every time she's on screen, I want her to stay on screen.
Right.
And that's all I want. And then I think a close second would be Shang-Chi. But I would actually argue that I think the trio of Shang-Chi,
Katie and
Sean, Katie, and the sister are better together than they are separately. Mr. Multiple Personalities. I cannot forget about him.
He would be second to me.
He would be second, I think, to Yelena. But the more I think about it, I'm like, I fucking love Mark Spector. I fucking love Mark Spector and all his characters, man. Like he's Yelena or him.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I would maybe put him above, just because I think his story is really intriguing. Like Yelena is a character now, but her internal story, I don't know if there's really anything there at the moment, right? Because she's over what happened with Hawkeye. They kind of wrapped that up for her, so I don't know what's there left for her. But Mark has so much more to go, and I love him, so probably she would be him.
For me, to fix this, here's what I would have done. I would have picked a fan favorite character, a Doctor Strange or Bucky. Even I would have asked Sebastian Stan, "Hey, I need some post-credit scenes from you, because we need to start connecting the dots." And that's all it has to be. I would have had Bucky. So they did it in Shang-Chi. So that's great. And they slightly did it in Eternals. Like we got When We'll See Him Again. But for, I would have had Bucky kind of reach out in some of the shows. Like in Moon Knight, I would have been like having Bucky or having some sort of connected tissue to the MCU. I understand. I get it. Oh, it's a show that's disconnected from the MCU. We want to keep it on its own. That's fine and dandy. But in the end of things, if this is going to live in the MCU and this dude's going to have Egyptian god powers, just harping on Moon Knight at the moment, then he has to connect back in some way or another.
See, you're not wrong, but I still don't think that would. No, you're not. I just don't think that's still not enough.
Like, you don't think it's enough?
No, I still think on a narrative level, what they need to do is get us to understand where this is going. Like, I like seeing the characters all meet up together, and that's fine. But for what, right?
Yeah.
The question's still for why? For what? Yeah. What that was the biggest thing about Phase 1 and 3 is that we knew why they were meeting up, because you knew what it was going to be for. But here, the multiverse is still complex. I frankly don't even know if the writers are all on the same page about this, because I'm pretty sure if you go into No Way Home, Multiverse of Madness, all these things that are like really trying to put it, there's a lot of freaking holes in that shit. Mm-hmm. To this day, I still couldn't really tell you how it works. Like I don't really know. And so that's where they need to get the story straight, because like it's getting too overblown and too big. Yeah. So I agree with you, but that needs to be like second step. Like first step is make us understand what the fuck this multiverse shit is and the rules and all that, you know.
Only adding to that point where the writers probably aren't even on the same page. There was a new Thor Love and Thunder spot released, and there is 2 Celestials in the Thor Love and Thunder spot.
In that hole.
In the hole, looking at a ship go out. And it's like, well, wait a minute. We were told these guys are bad. All of them are bad. So what's going on and why are they there? It's not, again, this isn't phase 1. This isn't just a cool little cameo. You've introduced them as something now, and you need to explain.
We're for sure they're Celestials. They look like Celestials to me. I just don't. I don't know if they're a lot smaller, obviously, but
I think they're Celestials.
Okay.
Yeah. So I agree. You're right. They need to steps to make it right. They need to introduce a threat, and you need to show us that it is going to be a multiversal fight, or hey, it is going to be Kang, and maybe Kang can travel through the multiverse, which I guess he can, right?
Right.
And that's where it needs to go. I completely agree. I do have hope that it'll be Thor, that they can write the ship in Thor, that we'll get the, we've read that the 2 post-credit scenes are quite significant.
Apparently.
So hopefully that means, hey, here we go. And hopefully we have answers by Comic-Con or D23.
I think what they need to do, like you said, I think what they really needed to do, and what they started in phase 1 is when we like periodically see Thanos at these end credit scenes. Like they need to do that with Kang or whoever it is. I would like to think it is Kang, but he needs to like start showing up at the end of at the end of each of these things, and like giving us a new piece of the puzzle of like what's his plan. How is this all coming together? But they just haven't been doing that. And yeah, you're right. Like they've been giving us like bullshit end credit scenes where it like doesn't really matter. And Clay, like who gives a shit?
Right.
So
like who knows?
I don't know what Thor is going to bring, but at the same time, like Thor does seem to be acting like the Love and Thunder in specific is seeming to be kind of just another Thor adventure. I don't think it's going to be multiversal. Connecting?
I don't think it will be. I do have a little bit of hope because Taika Waititi said, "Buckle up, there's going to be some cameos."
Oh, really?
And I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means, we're going to see somebody that doesn't matter, or we're going to see, or we're going to see the Jeff Goldblum as the joking Grandmaster again. Things of that sort. Like, what does that mean? Or if Thor: Love and Thunder will start to connect, but and maybe Marvel's like, hey, we're got to get through Thor: Love and Thunder, and then, we got to get through Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. And like on that note, I don't mind Black Panther: Wakanda Forever being a separate story, because obviously everything changed for that movie when Chadwick passed away.
Yeah.
So if they have to tell a story to, put him to rest and all that, that's completely and totally fine, and it won't bug me one bit. Yeah. That being the outlier. So yeah, I really don't know where they do it. My guess is we'll get answers here relatively soon. If it's not Comic-Con, it'll be D23, and maybe the slate will be enough to answer stuff for us. But again,
I really hope so.
Maybe even if it's as simple as, because we knew it was in the Infinity Saga and we knew it'll be about the Infinity Stones, maybe we'll get, hey, this is the Incursion Saga, this is the Multiverse Saga, this is the Secret Wars Saga. Yeah, right. So maybe something like that.
But you're right. But I'm missing the fact that, again, at the end of every phase, there was this Avengers movie that was there to be a bit of a wrap up, like it was a wrap up. Like, you're right. Yeah. A wrap up. And then like where we're going, where we've been and where we're going each time. And here we're really, really missing a lot of those things. And it's something that I thought that Kevin and the team would sort of continue, right? Because it was sort of the smart thing to do. But as of right now, again, we do not have a slated Avengers movie or whatever it is.
There will not be an Avengers movie in Phase 4. I know for a fact.
Yeah, which is fine. It's like which is fine. I just wish it was a form of that, right? Like some kind of movie. It doesn't have to be Avengers. It could be just some sort of team up movie where we understand now where these things are going. But as of right now, look, we got Blade come after Phase 4. We got Blade. We got the Deadpool 3 movie, Captain America sequel, Shang-Chi 2, Thunderbolts. And then, again, they've mentioned the X-Men film, which is coming, but we don't even know what that is yet. There's so much coming up. There's so much coming up. And the one thing that I really hope doesn't happen is that they just have all these like lingering questions and storylines that like don't go anywhere. I really hope so. And again, when you open this up to the multiverse, where now you have multiple characters in different places, and then they have their own stories, like Jesus Christ, like this is starting to feel super overwhelming. Like and
again, it's only getting bigger because they're using their shows to kind of launch new heroes. Miss Marvel, Daredevil is getting his own show. That's our first look at Daredevil.
I forgot about that. I forgot
Echo
about
is
that.
getting her own show. The Kingpin is coming. There's still so many characters that will get launched. Riri Williams, Ironheart, she's getting her own show. Machine Wars is happening. Secret Invasion is happening. There is still a ton of shit that has to drop in this phase. And it's, again, like, I know you don't want to do this, but for the fans' sake and for the general audience sake, you have to announce what's coming. You have to say it's all going to lead to this Avengers film, and that'll make people want to see it. But if you don't do that, you're hoping that your popularity can carry you to it. And I don't know if that's true anymore.
I don't. You're right. We're right. Maybe not. And I wonder if this is something that they anticipated or perhaps not. But I'm starting to now feel uneasy with the footing that they have us on. I am. Because it's so much. I don't understand. And they're not doing enough to tell us like, okay, no, don't worry. Like, we know where this is going. Trust us. I'm starting to really feel, especially with Multiverse of Madness, where it was it seemed like the perfect time to have a wrap-up movie. And it was so not that, painfully not that I'm like, oh God, okay. Well, you I don't want to say you're wrong to me there, but it felt like a bit of a cheap shot, where it
felt like a bait and switch almost. Like we were baited into thinking it was going to be this, and it wasn't that at all.
Yeah. So now we're like, we're just out in the open now, wondering what's the next thing. I think if they just did that again, like they just said, like in this movie that's coming up, like this is where it starts. But even Kevin hasn't hasn't had one of those brilliant 2015 like phase defining announcements where it's like he knows exactly what the fuck he's doing and like where this is going. Remember, we had like when Civil War was announced, I mean, how cool that was. Like, people knew immediately. Like, again, it kind of just sucked us up into like, here's the main storyline again between all of them. So now we know where all this is going. We don't have that again here. And it's just like, ugh.
What was great about those movies is even in Avengers, you could see Civil War was coming. Yeah. You could see things starting to happen. You could see things going a certain way. In Age of Ultron, they teased Ragnarok. They
teased everything in that movie.
So like everything was connected in a way that worked, and it was teasing what was coming. And you knew that with Civil War happening, that they were going to lose in Infinity War. You knew there was no way because they weren't together. They weren't the Avengers.
No,
like it all worked, and we haven't had that moment yet where Doctor Strange is recruiting these young kids or something to connect the stories and say, here we are. Or look, if there was a post-credit scene and you take out that Clea scene and that post-credit scene becomes Loki coming to see him, and Doctor Strange goes, you're supposed to be dead. And he goes, I'm not that Loki. Oh shit. Yeah. Then you got the tease knowing, we know if it's Loki knows who Kang is. We need to talk. So like things like that need to start taking place. The movies
I think you're right.
I'm a huge Marvel fan. The movies aren't good enough to stand on their own right now.
No, they're not. Well, because they're so painfully tied to things that are happening in the bigger. Yeah, and that's that's what they promised. So that's what happens with that. But you know, it is what it is. I really thought what was going to happen in Phase 4, especially with the multiverse, is that at the end of every movie, they would meet like a multiversal variant of themselves, and that would start to like. I thought that would be really cool if they started like actually meeting another version of themselves at the end of each movie,
right?
And each one of those starts to like answer questions about what's happening, but they're not doing that either.
I thought the perfect post-credit scene for Multiverse of Madness would have been the variants of that Earth that Wanda absolutely wrecks, walking through, seeing the remnants, and like two other heroes. It could be another Iron Man. It could be another Captain America. It could be whoever, right?
Yeah, whoever.
And it could be them going, who did this? Right. And then Mordo obviously survives. Mordo walks out and he says, Doctor Strange did this.
Yeah.
And then, you know, then we get that hint. They're like, uh-oh, it's going to be a multiverse war.
It would be really cool. Like we have, again, to have a shot of heroes that we have come to know a little bit
as different things.
All be from, be a variant, like a full-on Avengers variant of a different place.
Chris
all
Evans
them together. That'd be so cool.
Chris Evans has said he'd love to come back as the Human Torch. There's your perfect moment to use Chris Evans as the human.
I agree.
Did I freeze?
Wait. Hold. You kind of you really like lag there. Can you restate
I see. I'm lagging.
Again?
I'm lagging.
Okay, there. Okay. I think it's okay.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, go ahead.
It would have been a wonderful experience if Chris Evans came back and he was the Human Torch, and people are like, "Oh my God, it's going to be a multiversal war."
Yeah,
and I think they really missed. I think this is really. I've harped a lot on this film today, and I feel bad about it, but like, it really goes back to Multiverse of Madness. I think they dropped the ball on Multiverse. They really did.
I agree with that 100%.
You know, America Chavez got a lot of the light, and I don't think she should have. I don't think Wanda should have gotten the spotlight that she got, just because I don't think they had done enough to build up evil Wanda.
I also think that with America's powers, that would have been great to have saved for later. You would think that with that kind of power, that would come at the end of the next or whatever the next Avengers movie is as a solution to all this happening. But no, they introduced her now, and I'm like, it just feels like, well, we don't even know what the fuck this is. So the fact that you have someone who can travel through all of them doesn't really do much for me, because it's like I don't even know what the fuck the rules are.
What's it matter? So right, exactly.
Who cares? Yeah. Anyways, that's a great point. Wait, this brings up another question I had for you.
Hit me.
Do you think we will see Tony and Chris, or I don't want to say Tony. Do you think we will see RDJ and Chris Evans back in the MCU? And if you think so, in what form? Because here's the thing, here really quickly for me, it's like, I definitely think they're going to be back. It's just going to be a while, because it's like, how do you have Secret Wars without Iron Man and Captain America in it? How do you have all these storylines that they're going to pull from without them in it? So will they not come back? I think they will.
So I have like a 50-50 on it. I think they might be back, and I think they might not be back. I do think a lot will depend on the reception to Ironheart, the series, and the reception to Captain America 4. If people love those series, then they're not coming back. If people are like, love those characters. But if you get a reaction similar to that of Captain Marvel, where and critics have loved Miss Marvel, and they've loved Monica Rambeau. So, you know, the fans weren't so hot off of Captain Marvel, and even the critics weren't so hot off Captain Marvel. So what happens? You put two other heroes in it, and you hope it makes it better.
Yeah.
So, like, in the same vein, Ironheart doesn't take off the way they hope it does, which who knows if it does. Then you'll see Tony back in some way or shape or form. Okay. If Captain America 4 doesn't take off the way it was. And I do have more faith that Captain America 4 will take off more, because I do think they'll say, here's Bucky, here's Wyatt Russell, here's Baron Zemo. Let's bring them all back into the fold. and let's go have some fun. I do think he needs to become a super soldier at some point. But a lot of people don't agree with me, but I think he needs to become a super soldier. But anyway, I think Captain America 4 has more chance to be a success than Ironheart. Just because the Ironheart comic hasn't taken off the way it does, and if you pull straight from the comic, it's not going to work.
That's pretty clear, obviously. Yeah. But again, I'd like to think that we said things about movies in phase 1 through 3 where we're like, I don't know if that was going to work, but they pulled it off.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they still bring that magic that they used to have in the first 3 phases and start kind of getting themselves back onto a track here where it sets them up for success.
Yeah.
I definitely think they're going to be back. Yeah. I just don't see, visually speaking, how you don't, like, again, you don't have a scene where, even if they're variants, right? Obviously, it's not the ones that we come to know and love. I don't even think I want it to be that. I don't want it to be that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think either variants of them will come back, but I can just picture Chris Evans, Captain America, alongside what's his name? Fuck, who's the new Captain America?
Anthony Mackie.
Anthony Mackie. Sort of, even though they don't know each other, like
Sam
just
Wilson.
seeing them, Sam Wilson, them together, like two Captain Americas together, I think is like something that we'll want to see.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I just don't see how you can have any of these big events without the two people who are usually there, at least in the comics.
Right. Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how it goes and how it plays out. But I'm very excited for Thor 4. I do think it could right the ship a little bit more, but maybe I'm wrong.
I don't think it will, but I don't think it will, just because. Well, when you hit me with Multiverse of Madness and that bullshit, I'm like, I'm sure they were planning these movies next to each other. I'm sure they weren't like, oh yeah, Thor 4 is the one to do it. The one with Taika Waititi behind the.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
I hope so. I can only hope so. Like, that's the thing. Like, I hope so. I don't know what people are talking about with these end credit scenes being epic or whatever, but I hope it has something to do with the overarching narrative, because that would be pretty epic to me, and not some like throwaway shit. Anyways, all right. Let's end this really quickly with. I just want to ask you sort of your worst and best. So out of Phase 4. Specifically, what is the worst thing out of Phase 4 to you, and what is the best thing that you loved about Phase 4?
You mean like movies or just in general?
Anything.
Worst thing has been the lazy writing. The fact that we should like characters because they are certain characters. Like that's not good enough for me. Like you gotta give me reason to like a character. You gotta give me a reason why Wanda turned so bad. You have to give me reasons. You can't just take for granted that she was a villain in the comics and now she's a villain. Like the last time we saw Wanda, she wasn't bad. And like, again, another thing, lazy writing, letting people off the hook. Why are we just letting people off the hook? No, it's been the worst thing about Phase 4. And it goes with the second part of that is like failed landings, missed landings. They're just like, they are not sticking landings right now.
I would agree with you.
Yeah. Best part of Phase 4.
Best thing. Again, it could be a thing or like
the 3 Spider-Man.
It's something that you like. Okay, yeah.
Without a doubt. There's no way anything could be like that. Like, are you kidding? I got to see Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Andrew Garfield gets to save MJ in a fucking amazing scene. It's just nothing will be better.
No, it's true. No, I mean, obviously, I have the same answer. I think the best thing is that moment. I cried and laughed and everything. It brought all the feels out of that. It's got to be it's got to be No Way Home in that sense. And then a close second for me would honestly be Moon Knight. As you know, I really got affected by that show. I think that's what they should be doing. Again, to answer a little bit of like the big problem, which is the writing. I thought that show had great writing. I thought it has a great character for one too, but I thought they also just handled it really well. I think they gave us someone that a hero, questionably a hero, but a person that we can really root for, obviously. And that you just by the end of that show, you're like, you want him to win. He's so broken, but at the same time, he has such willpower and someone who has absolute stakes to be one of the top players as a hero. That I just feel like we did not see. Very even with Shang-Chi, which I loved. Even then, it wasn't like I'm not looking at Sean as like the leader of the next Avengers, right? He's not. He's super young. He's still obviously very inexperienced. Yeah. He's a great character. I like him. Right. He's very fun to watch, but he's not a Tony Stark or Chris Evans or there's so many fucking names in this goddamn thing that I'm like, I can't remember the names anymore. Jesus Christ, Steve Rogers. Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So yeah, that would be my second best thing out of Phase 4 already. And then I think the worst thing out of Phase 4. I mean, yeah, as you said, overall the writing and just the sort of like the lack of planning and writing is a really big problem. In terms of an IP though, if I had to pick one, it would probably be.
You can't say Miss Marvel. You're not done with Miss Marvel.
I know. That's what I was going to say. I can't say Miss Marvel because it's not done. So that's not
the
fair.
Last 3 episodes might be the most amazing product we've ever seen Marvel put out. I doubt it.
We don't know. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So.
You're right. I would probably honestly have to say, it's either Black Widow or What If. It's one of those two.
I would agree with Black Widow.
Obviously not What If for you.
Not strongest IP.
But when you think about an IP that just went like, what the fuck? Like, why are we doing this?
Where the trailers were so good and you were just like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah, the trailers were so good and that movie's just like. It also just feels like, again, out of everything, it's like at least the new, even if the problems with the new shows, I'm like, okay, I know we're going to see them. We're going to come. I know where they're going with this.
To it.
Oh, what the fuck what was up with Black Widow? Like, what are we doing with that?
What's
Nothing.
The point?
Was it just to have?
Yeah, like we know she's dead. It's not like a post-credit scene revealed her to be alive,
right?
Which would have made it matter a little bit more.
And I totally don't think we also, and as much as I love that it gave us Yelena, we could have totally introduced Yelena somewhere else. Like this, it was not vital that we saw Yelena
in Hawkeye.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And we would have went like, what? Yeah. Like she has a sister. What the fuck are you talking about? She has a sister.
Boom.
So the movie as a vehicle for her, I thought, I mean, I'm glad, but at the same time, just it's not necessary.
Right.
So anyways, I'll tell you, man, this has been quite cathartic. I believe I think I get it now. I get it.
Yeah.
I still think that I'm pretty happy considering everything. Again, it's not like we can point to another property that's doing it exactly like Marvel and go like, do it like them. They're all in the wind. They're all doing it the way that they think it should be done. They're starting from scratch. So I'm always going to be like, I'm fairly happy. That being said, there have been some downsides to Phase 4. And I totally get it. I will not complain anymore when someone says you're disappointed. I will not give them a stank look.
Improvements are needed.
Yeah. Improvements are needed. Correct. Yeah.